Here we are, sitting with Trayvon Martin's mother, Sybrina Fulton. 3 years ago, she lost her 17-year-old son when he was killed in an altercation in Florida. How are you doing today?
I always say I'm doing fairly well. I could be doing better, but I could be doing a lot worse. And so I just, I'm grateful of where I am. And, I just look forward to the work that I'm doing. I look forward to the people that I'm able to help and just making sure I just continue my mission.
What was your favorite thing about Trayvon? If you could pick one thing that you treasure the most, what would it be?
That he was so affectionate. He was a very, very affectionate teenager. And so he liked to hug all the time. He liked to kiss, and he didn't care that people would think that he's a mama's boy. He didn't care. He was just one of those kids that felt like he had to do everything for me. And so I played a lot on it, and I pretended I couldn't do things because I knew he would be watching. I knew he would help. Even luggage that I can pick up, like clearly pick up. I would see him out of the corner of my eye, and I would struggle with it, and I got it. And that's just the kind of the kid he was. He just always wanted to do things for me and other people as well, but he just felt like he had to be my king.
And you were his queen.
Yeah.
What was his favorite food?
I would say French fries if I had to guess something.
Well, he was a teenager.
All kids love French fries. They love French fries. They love pizza and burgers and junk food. But he pretty much liked everything, like oatmeal, like macaroni and cheese, like everything. Steak. He liked everything. It's my oldest son that is the picky eater. Yeah, it's like, okay, he only likes certain vegetables, he only likes certain meats, and he's really picky. But Trayvon ate like everything. He would eat cereal the whole day.
What was he like?
He was still a lot playful, even though he was, he had just turned 17, to me, he was still like playful, as a teenager. He would like to go to the movies on Saturday. He liked to, he was just getting into this thing that he had to have like certain colognes, that was something new, and it was new to me. Like, what do you need this cologne for? You need one bottle, and he wanted these different colognes. He wanted the latest shoes that they had. He was more concerned with looking good, because now he was like, becoming a young man, and he was like, okay, the ladies are watching, so he made sure I didn't have to drag him to get a haircut anymore. I didn't have to drag him to wash his clothes and to do things like that. He did them automatically, because now it was not about mom, it was about impressing the young ladies. And so to me, he just was like, he was just real funny. They were real close to me, We did things together, and I just miss him, because I'm just used to having him. And so it's like, to go 17 years and then now it's like overnight he's gone,
Right.
It was just a shock. And a lot of times I think about, if somebody had told me beforehand that this would happen to him, how would I react? I don't think I would be able to function. I don't think I would be able to move on if I knew about it ahead of time. It's like, I don't think I would have been able to.
Was he dating? He found the cologne.
He had no, well, he had friends. He did have friends, and he had people that he was interested in. And he didn't have one girlfriend. No, he did not have. I always told him I was his girlfriend. And so, no, he didn't have a girlfriend.
What did he like to do? Movies?
He liked
sports?
Movies. He liked to watch football. He liked to play basketball. He loved like sports. He's just a sports fanatic. He loved sports. He liked motorcycles.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dirt
I
bikes?
didn't. Yeah, dirt bikes. I don't.
You didn't? Yeah.
No, I don't. And so I would always tell him, stay off. Don't get on, don't ride. And he got in this little accident and he had a scrape on his shoulder and he has scrapes on his knees. And I said, I told you. He didn't even want me to know that he had fallen off the bike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so he kind of hid it. He didn't want anybody to know.
No evidence.
And I told him, you're going to school. It doesn't matter. You're going to school. So his dad took him to the emergency room. They patched him up, and I took him to school. And he was just, even though he was thin, he loved to eat. He loved sweets. Did
you have any dessert that you shared?
Oh, just several. Several. One was ice cream, and another one was cookies. We would make these cookies. And there's a picture that was circulating at one time. She is 6 or 7 years old now, but at the time, she was probably about 4. And he used to go over, because he used to like to skate, just roller skate.
Okay.
He used to rollerblade and did all those things. But they have this thing in Miami where they go skating on the weekends.
Okay.
And he had just gotten into that. I bought him a new pair of skates like 2 years before. And he wanted to earn money so that he can go skating, so he can buy skate wheels and all kind of stuff. And he used to go and babysit these 2 little girls, and one of the little girls is on the pictures. And every now and then she says to me, she is about 6 or 7 now, and her sister just turned 11. And so he used to babysit both of them. And so now they say, well, we know Trayvon is in heaven, but who's gonna make the cookies? Aww. And so now I have to go over on Christmas Eve, and I have to go over on holidays and whenever they get the urge, and I have to make cookies.
What kind?
I have to make chocolate chip cookies. And we have to put them on a plate for Santa. And we just out of the blue, they'll call me and they'll say, because they call me Auntie Candy. And I go over and I make them cookies, and that was a tradition that he started with them. And so now
that's beautiful.
I have to go make
what
cookies.
Teenage boy does that?
Well, they love kids, yeah, and they love babies, and I have never seen kids but that came from me because I love babies.
Yeah,
yeah.
I do too.
So I like little babies.
Yeah,
I like those little teeny tiny shoes and those little cute little dresses and little hats and stuff. I'm just fascinated with little bitty kids, not the big ones, the little ones. Because I know at some point I'm able to take them home and their parents will take care of them. I don't have to listen to the noise. What day was it? On Sunday, we had a 2-year-old, and she is actually my niece's niece, and she's 2, and her brother is 9, and her brother is 9. The 9-year-old, he's not a problem. He plays the video games, and you don't know he's there. The 2-year-old, at one point, she was on my back, and I was holding the water away from her, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. Get off me. Get down. I said, that's why people drink. They drink alcohol because I could not believe. I'm fighting with her. She's on my back, and I'm like taking the water away from her, and I'm like tussling with. I'm like, hey, listen, stop it. Stop it. And I was like, where's your mom? Because we were babysitting. It was 3 of us, and we only had 2 kids. And I was like, okay, my turn is done. It's somebody else's turn. It's your turn. And we were all in the same room, but she wanted to sit on my lap. She wanted to hug me. She wanted to take off my shoes. She took off her shoes. And I'm like, please, leave me alone. I'm tired. But I love kids, and they love kids. And so even my oldest son, 24 years old, he loves kids. He takes kids to youth fair.
He's going to be a wonderful father.
Yeah, he took like about 4 kids to youth fair. I said, you should take 2. He said, well, they wanted to go. Aww. And so he'll take them to the movies. He'll take them swimming.
Bless
he'll teach them how to swim. Yeah, they love kids because I love kids.
Yeah, I do too. So it's been 3 years. What brings you comfort?
The spa.
Yeah, the what?
The spa. The spa. I still do things that I like to do. I still do things that make me happy. I'm still a avid shopper, so I still shop, which I should not, but I do. I like to shop. I like to. I spend a lot of time with my son, and I ask him questions like, "What if? Like, does your wife have to work?" And he's like, no, not if she doesn't want to. I'm like, why not? And he's like, no, because I'm going to take care of her. And I'm like, she needs to work also. And so we have these conversations about what if she doesn't want to change her last name. And I just think of stuff I see on TV, or maybe I've watched a movie and something has come up on the movie, and I just ask him questions just to get his opinion. And a lot of times it's basically what he sees me do. It's basically a lot of things that he has seen or I have said to someone else, and I probably thought he wasn't listening. And so he's adapted a lot of my ways and a lot of my thinking, which is good, because I try to, be a decent role model,
right.
And try to do things with respect and try to do things with honor. And so he is, and you can ask my sister, I'm not going to just say he's a great guy, but he is just, and maybe you'll get a chance to meet him. I don't know about you all, but you'll get a chance to meet him. But I still do the things that I enjoy, and so
that bring you happiness.
Yeah,
in your heart.
I absolutely
lift your heart.
Absolutely. I have a family member that's sick, and I go over and I tell her that I'm taking her out, and I tell her, oh no, we're not staying in the house today. And even if I just help her put on her clothes and we go to lunch, she is happy. And it's reminding me of my grandmother, because that's how I get the name Candy, came from my grandmother, because I would take, and my grandmother died in 2010, which was like a stab. But it was probably preparing me for 2012. Right. But I was very close to my grandmother. And what I would do is I would take like small objects to her, small items. I could take lotion, I could take shower gel, I could take a pair of purple earrings, take a pair of pink shoes. Whatever I took to my grandmother, she really appreciated. And so she would say, there's my Candy. Oh. And so that's where that name came from. And I don't care what I took her. She was just so appreciative of whatever it was. And so that's where I get the name Candy from. And so I think by helping other people, it helps me in the midst of me, because you have people that can't do for themselves. I have a brother that's a quadriplegic. He's in a wheelchair, and I'll push him around, because he says that people kind of like baby him, and they make him feel like he's handicapped. And so him and I argue because he's a cigarette smoker and I'm not. And so I always go up to him and I say, I'm gonna take that cigarette. And he's, leave me alone. And I said, I'm gonna take that. And sometimes I do, I take it out and he say, just go home. And I said, no, I'm not going home. You're gonna stop smoking while I'm here. And so we argue and everything, but he enjoys it. He enjoys it. He gets up every morning at 6 o'clock. He's a member. He sits on the community relations board. He sits on the transportation board. He also volunteers for the Trayvon Martin Foundation. He's a busy guy. He's involved in his church and he does things, but he says everybody looks at him because he's in the wheelchair as if he's handicapped. So they won't say certain things. They won't do, nobody will take that cigarette out of his mouth. You know, but I'll take
you
that.
will.
Oh yes. I'll take the cigarette out and I'll tell him, you don't need this. It's messing up your lungs. And you know, everybody be pretty much, because he can't light the cigarette, so somebody is always doing it for him. So he'll ride by and he'll say, ma'am, can you please light this cigarette? And you be like, oh, okay. And they light the cigarette and they put it in his mouth and he's smoking a cigarette. Well, he can't take the cigarette out of his mouth, so he smokes the cigarette and he kind of spits it over across his shoulder when he's done with it.
Wow.
But he should not have the cigarette at all. And so I argue with him about the cigarette. So
Well, I don't blame you there.
and he was the reason why Trayvon got involved in aviation. Because before he got into this accident, he was involved in aviation and he kind of convinced Trayvon that it was a good field. And so Trayvon started taking these classes dealing with aviation, and it's a guy in Miami called Barrington Irving. He was the first African American to fly around the world at 30-something years old. And he took his aviation class, and so there's a picture of him with this aviation uniform on, and I went to a graduation that he had and everything, and he was like so excited about that, and it was my brother that got him involved in it.
Okay, was he going to go on into aviation,
Yes.
you think? Okay. Yeah. So what do you want people to know about Trayvon? You know, when people interview you, and you're in the media and such, it's always about the politics behind the shooting and George Zimmerman and everything. Sometimes the victim gets lost in all that. Tell us about him. What do you want people to know about him?
The same thing that I've been saying, that he was just an average teenager. And it could have been anybody's son. It could have been anybody's child. And I knew that, like, originally we was focused on Trayvon, but then when the story became so big and we had so many people supporting, and we had a petition, a change.org petition, we had 2.5 million people. It's like people really care, you know, and it's just amazing that we went into it just about our son, and it was so much bigger than him. It was so much broader than him. It was so much about not only him, but him being the vessel for other teenagers,
Right.
for him being the vessel for other young men and other young women. And it's just, you know, because my focus was my son, and my drive was my son. And so by being so involved in this fight, in this struggle, I've learned that this is so much bigger. It's so much work to be done, and and we have people to do the work. We have people with compassion, because people want you to believe that whatever you do is for your daughter, and whatever I do is for my son. No, we're doing it
For everyone,
collectively
yeah.
for everybody.
Yep.
It's about the grief and hope of everybody. It's about everybody trying to overcome obstacles. It's not necessarily, and your loss might be a little differently from mine. It could be a husband, it could be a wife, it could be a son, it could be a daughter, it could be an animal. You could have lost a job, you could have lost a house, your
health,
mom,
yeah.
your health, it just could be about a loss, and your loss may be something that's much bigger than you see. And then that's why it's important to kind of not shy away from it, but embrace it. And I said earlier that I did not want to be here. I did not want to sign up for this. I did not want to be the spokesperson. So I struggled with this. I struggled until I realized that it was much bigger than just my son.
Yes.
I realized that. I realized that it's not just about my children. It's about everyone's
children. So is it hard for you when things happen like in Ferguson, and suddenly they always reference Trayvon Martin? And is that hard for you?
Well, it's a certain part of me that says it's keeping his legacy alive, but it's just the story, the case itself is sad. When I hear about what has happened with not only Ferguson, but also the situation in New York and California and Texas and Cleveland and Chicago, it just saddens me to know that this continues to happen, and that although Trayvon's situation has brought awareness and opened a lot of people's eyes, we still have a long way to go. And I just think that by me doing my part, I feel more comfortable with the situation. I feel more comfortable with doing what I can do. And although it might just be a piece, it's what I can contribute.
That's right. That's right. Is it hard for you to see when you see a student walking down the street or even just down the hall and he's wearing a hoodie? How does that make you?
It's a memory. It reminds me, about the hoodie. When I see a teenager, when I see somebody just listening to music, it's just a lot of things remind me of him. And so I don't think it's a day go by that I don't think about my boys. And
right.
I'm always still gonna have two boys. I just have one in heaven and one here on earth.
So when people ask you that question that all grieving mothers get asked, how many children do you have? How do you reply?
I have two. I have one in heaven and I have one here on earth.
That's how I answer as well.
Yeah. Trayvon would have been 20 years old. Javaris is 24.
Yeah, I answer the same way, but it remains a real sticky issue for grieving mothers. Because when you answer, I've got 4 kids. One's in heaven, 3 are here. They say, oh, what are the ages? That kind of thing. And inevitably you get to the one that's in heaven, and then you have to explain further. And then it becomes awkward for them. It suddenly becomes the elephant in the room. So a lot of moms avoid it altogether and don't mention the one in heaven. But I've always figured that I am not going to not honor that, because she's my child still. She just isn't heaven. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said before, the death of my son cannot separate me from the love of my son.
Absolutely.
And so the love is still there. That's still my son. That's still, that's still a piece of me. That's
that
still
love
my
keeps
heart.
you connected.
It's never gonna go away.
No.
Never, ever, ever.
Transcends everything. So do we have anyone that wants to ask Ms. Fulton a question? You're welcome to come on up to the microphone here. And this is an open and candid discussion. And if it's a question that so feel free to ask anything. If it's a question that she doesn't want to answer, she can decline, but feel free to ask.
First of all, my deepest condolences. I can't imagine, I just lost my husband. I can't imagine losing a child, and especially in the circumstances you did. And that's kind of where my question is. How did you handle the spotlight? I mean, I lost my husband privately in my own home, and I don't want to leave my home. I don't even want to go grocery shopping. And you had Anderson Cooper at your front door. You had Matt Lauer. You had to be. Have you considered how you would have handled the loss differently, or if maybe there's a reason why it happened that way? I don't know if...
Well, I did not want to grieve publicly. I did not want to, I didn't want it to be such a,
media spectacle.
yeah, just, I didn't, I mean, if I had my choice, of course I would have, it would have been private. But what happened was focus, and at the time our focus was to get the message out. And so one of the things that I say is that I told myself that I was never going back to Sanford again or the Orlando area. But it was when my attorney and Trayvon's dad called and said that they were not going to arrest the person that had shot and killed my son. I packed my bags, and 3 hours later I was on the road. So there was some fight in me at the time, even though I was still broken. There was some fight in me, and I said, this cannot be possible. What do you mean they're not going to arrest? And then they told me about stand your ground and blah, blah, blah. And that's how it started. So my focus was always my son. My focus wasn't necessarily the media and who I was meeting and who I was helping. I really didn't care about that. My focus was Trayvon Martin and to do what I needed to do for my son, because I've always been a person that felt like I have to do my part. And so that was my part as a mother. I couldn't just stay at home and say, okay, I'm just gonna stay here and cry and do nothing.
Were you able to grieve, do you think, amidst all of it, or do you think it was a delayed grief?
Well, I'm still grieving. Right. I still cry. Right. And that's one of the things I said. Don't apologize for your tears. Don't apologize for crying. I've gone to a university and I'm able to speak just like you and I are speaking right now. But sometimes when I talk about certain things, I start to cry and I start to tear up, and right then and there, I just lose it.
Yep.
And I have to take some time to get myself together and everything, and then I start saying different things to myself. I start meditating to myself. I ask God to lift me up. I ask God to bring me out of this darkness, and He does. And it's just a matter of time. So I don't apologize for my tears. I don't apologize for crying. I'm a human being. I'm a mother. I hurt, I cried, I bleed, everything just like anybody else, you know. And I would not have asked for this. I would not have signed up for this. If I could have done it a different way at the time, I probably would have. But our focus, we had a legal counsel, and the legal counsel was to get the word out. They advised us, you need to get the word out. This is so unfair. You need to get the word out, because it seemed like the police department was like trying to brush it under the rug, because Trayvon was feet from the door that he was going to. Yep. And so for them not to even knock on the door to find out who this 17-year-old that had been shot was just crazy. Why didn't anybody think to knock on the doors in that community? And his dad could have found out that night that he had been murdered. They didn't care. They wanted it to go away. They wanted us to go away. They didn't want us to come to Sanford. They didn't want us to have a rally about the murderer being arrested. They didn't want us to have protests. And mind you, each one was peaceful protests.
Absolutely. Yep.
Peaceful protests. Yep. There was nothing violent about it.
You handled yourself with such dignity and such grace. I mean, my heart just broke for you at the time, but I have to commend you. I don't know how you did it, but you and Trayvon's father both handled yourselves with immense grace and dignity in the public. I just wanted to thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you, and thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Hi. My sons are 17 and 20, so I can't imagine what you're experiencing, and I don't know how you can be sitting up there. Yeah. I was wondering where you're getting your strength from. Who did you turn to? Whose shoulder did you lean on? Who held you up when your knees buckled? You couldn't be strong 24/7. Where did you get your strength from?
One of the things I mentioned earlier is that I built a positive circle around me. I had positive people around me. I had positive family members. I had positive friends. Anybody that was negative, they were not around. I did not attach myself to negative people. I did not attach myself to people that were saying negative things like, okay, you should be so mad that you should go get a gun and you should do this. If somebody talked to me in that language, in that type of manner, then I would distance myself from them. So I surrounded myself with positive people, and those positive people lift me up. The pastors in my area, the pastors practically all over the United States reached out to us. We had so many people praying for us. But just like you said, I never would have imagined me to do it by myself. Sybrina could not have done it alone. And so I know it was God that lifted me up. I know it was God that kept me strong. I know it was God that kept me. I had just enough faith in me to know that God could do it. And He did. And so I don't make any mistake about it by thinking that I was strong enough. I was this strong mom that would be able to sustain a child being murdered and me continuing to live my life. I was not that naive to think that, not even for 1 second. But I had just enough faith in me to believe in God and to know that even though Sybrina does not understand what's going on, just trust in God. And I did. And it made me through to the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. And that's all you need.
Thank you. I can feel the bond between you and your sister in the front row. It's very palpable.
Thank you.
So I just want to acknowledge that, and it really warms my heart. And I just wanted to know what kind of support your sister's been to you, and give you a moment if you want to acknowledge her publicly.
She is very shy, but she is great support.
She gives great hugs.
Yeah, she is great support. She loves me to death. Because even though I may get on her nerves, she won't complain. She won't complain.
Which one of you is older?
She is. She is. Huh? Yeah, I'm the youngest. Everybody is older than me, so I get all the help, you know. But I have a good support team. I have a mom that's still, and I was telling Linda, some days on my bad days, I send my mom a text of like a sad face because I'm having a bad day, and she'll bring over like a milkshake, and she'll bring over like little things. She'll bring over food, or sometimes she'll just come take a nap with me, you know. And I'm 49. And she'll still do it. And she'll still do it. And I tell her, you only get one baby, you know? That's me. You don't have any others. And so, you know.
But you know, we would do that for our children.
Yeah.
If they send us a text with a sad face, we're all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so.
Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing your smile and your laugh and your resilience, and for just reminding us all how powerful we are when we try not to do it alone, but we tap into community. That's what Linda's trying to create here, and just thanks for contributing to it.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
That's beautiful. Miss Tanya.
Yeah, you know what?
Can I introduce you
If you want.
to anyone that doesn't know who this is? This is Tanya Brown.
Whoa.
And 20 years ago,
21.
has it been the one? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep, you're right. Okay, yeah.
21.
Of course you would know. But 21 years ago, her sister Nicole was murdered on the doorstep of her home by O.J. Simpson. And Tanya had this epic 10-year spiral downward. And I will let her tell her story in her keynote, but she is a beautiful, beautiful soul.
Aww.
And love her to pieces, and so excited for you to share your story tomorrow. But I just wanted everyone here to know who you were.
Thanks, Linda. Thanks. You're doing this grief convention, and little did I know I needed some healing in my life this week. So thank you for bringing all of us together, which is really nice. Sybrina, I just want to commend you. my pain of losing a sister was bad, you know, but seeing, and I shared this with you also, but seeing my parents go through the loss of a child, that pain was on a whole nother level. And that really contributed to a large part of my depression. But I just want to commend you for holding yourself up with such grace and beauty, and you're so positive. You remind me of my mother, just really always trying to see the beauty in things. And I just find that really an incredible, incredible thing. And how you've taken, my mom couldn't use this whole experience of domestic violence and the murder of a child and do what you do. And I will honor that and respect that. But when I see moms who have experienced such, and men and dads and sisters who have experienced such a public, and because I understand that part, tragedy, and are touching many lives. And I just want to let you know that all the way in California, we feel, and we have, when this first happened, we felt your pain, and we still continue to feel your pain, and this violence has to stop. And anything I can do to help you do that, I'm on board. Because it angers me every single time I hear it. But something also that you said, and I think it's really important, is that you said that you keep anybody out of your life who says, you need to get a gun, and revenge, right?
Right.
And we don't
Bitterness.
get anywhere with that. And as long as we approach things with compassion and love, we get a lot further. And I think that is just also an incredible message that you're spreading out into the community. And I just appreciate you for mustering up the courage and doing what you're doing. It's important work. But just from a daughter seeing a mom, you are doing a beautiful thing, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Don't be shy. Now is a great time. Anybody? Come on up.
Hi again. Thank you for the hug. I don't even know how to begin to express the qualities that I value, that I see in you, but in just trying to think it through, you're so incredibly authentic. You're so fully who you are, and that's how I want to live my life. And I'm from Chicago, and when I go back home tomorrow night, you mentioned some things during your keynote address that we can do, you know, of course, vote and serve our jury duty. And if there are other things that you can tell me to help me keep my consciousness raised and raise the consciousness of everyone I encounter every day of my life, any additional suggestions of what I can do to just keep everyone knowing we all are Trayvon?
Thank you. One of the things that I mentioned earlier is to connect yourself with a nonprofit organization. And, you know, sometimes they have memberships, you know, in the organization, but it's usually minimum. It's usually a couple of bucks or whatever. But just make sure you're doing the work of the foundation, that you're helping the foundation or the organization. You're helping them with their goals. You're giving, maybe it's 2 hours a week, maybe it's 2 hours a month, but that's your constantly involved in that nonprofit organization. And then another thing, based on what you said, the initial statement that you made is that when this first happened, I went to my pastor, and I talked to my pastor, and I was still just, you know, crying all the time. And I told him, I said, I want to speak, I want to say things, but then I can't, and I can't, and I said, I just can't do it. I'm just not strong enough. And I said that, you know, I wanted him to help do something. And so he told me, he says, you know, just be patient. It's the same thing you feel with forgiveness. It's the same way you feel about grieving. You know, in your own time, you'll come into it. In the own time, you know, the process will start flowing, and you'll wonder, well, I was here a year ago, and now I'm here. You know, you'll see yourself getting stronger and stronger. But he also told me that trials and tribulations don't build character, it reveals it. So a lot of times people don't understand that I have never been a person of revenge. I have never been an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. I have never been the type of person that says that if you do something to me, I have to do something to you. I've always been the type of person that try to help, that try to do my very best so that you can see my little light shine. And I thank you so much for your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we only have a few more minutes. I think that the next session want to set up their band. Come on. Yep. Angie, is that you, Angie?
It's me.
Benjamin.
They're picking on me.
Oh,
Hi.
hi.
I just wanted to say I'm glad that you're here and helping us to. I'm founder of National Grief Awareness Day, and I've had a lot of loss all my life. And my mom died in 2010 of a drug overdose, and I've had lots of siblings and had much loss. And I just want to, I don't know what I want to say. I think it's kind of to everybody that's sitting here. It's that we're finally having the dialogue. This conversation needs to happen. When I saw what happened to you on TV, I will let you know. And Tanya, where are you at? Tanya too. I'm going to tell you, you guys are human beings, you know. And when we see you on TV, I see you as a mom. I see you as a sister. I see the devastation. We grieve with you. And I think our world grieves, and it's an epidemic. And I think the conversation is finally starting here. And I want to tell you that I think that you're part of that. You're part of something that is, like you said, bigger than us. And Benjamin, my friend Benjamin's here, and he said, Angie, do you know that National Grief Awareness Day is bigger than you? And it really is. Because it's not a day to grieve, because we all grieve. I mean, it's not that. It's about, hey, let's not forget the people who grieve. Your grief, I know, didn't, for as long as the TV showed it, it's still going on, you know, and our world lives with how the TV, shows it. And so I'm glad we're getting real and we're getting honest, and it's an honor to be in your presence. It's an honor to be in your presence.
Thank you.
It really, really is.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I would love for you to maybe do some collaboration, because we need help with National Grief Awareness Day. We need help. We need help. We need some help. And the reason why I say that is there's so many people grieving in silence. They can't be themselves. They feel judged. They have to put this face on. And if there's somebody that probably would know that, would be you, the face that you have to present to. And you're forced into some of that. But I think the silent grief can kill us, you know? And thank you for sharing your faith in this room. I could feel it from you about being lifted up. I've been on my knees and been buckled and been suicidal even. And so I know hopelessness, and I know what it's like to live a fake life and act like everything's okay. And it's time for it to stop. And you're a huge part of opening that up.
Thank you for
You're
your
a sister
comments.
to me. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I just want to say this as one mother to another. I have 3 children, 1 in heaven, 2 that are here. I also work as a school administrator at a large urban high school, so I work with a lot of young people. It takes a lot of energy. I remember when I saw pictures of Trayvon and heard the story, and I thought, what a handsome young man. And I wanted you to know that as his mother.
He looks just like me.
Beautiful, a beautiful young man. And I wanted you to know that, and I know that to this day that you're very proud of him and of his brother.
I am. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. We need to wrap it up so that the band is going to set up. We've got Beth Nielsen Chapman and the funniest widow on earth, Carol Scobelli, up this evening. And so we're going to take a break. I hope you guys all get a bite to eat and join us back here in just a little bit. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.